Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I retired after 20 years as an NYPD detective and was often lead investigator. I investigated most type complaints. I'll start over.
Sure. Can we give him the time again? Thanks.
I retired after 20 years in the NYPD as a detective and was often a lead investigator. I investigated most every type of complaint from kidnapping of pigeons to homicide. The investigations were similar to those you see on TV crime shows, interviewing witnesses, observing crime scenes, renewing evidence, etc., which usually took more than the 1 hour time it took them on TV to solve the crime. As a uniform officer, I responded to hundreds of disputes, from parking spots to family disputes. Handling them was somewhat like a referee at a wrestling match, but you had to control the situation with your voice and presence. The common denominator in all these instances were knowing the law, listening rather than hearing, having patience, empathy, and decision-making based on facts. About 10 years after moving to Woodstock, I applied for and was appointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals, where I served for 15 years both as a member and chair and heard over 500 applications. The ZBA is a quasi-judicial body similar to a court where people come to seek relief from the zoning laws. I brought to the board the same qualities I relied on in the NYPD, including decision maker. The town cell tower, highway garage, the Tibetan monastery, the youth skate park, and the Kachina barn were all cases that came before us.
Thank you. Excuse me?
I don't need more.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. Mr. Lesko.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Lesko, and I am running for re-election as the Woodstock Town Court Justice. I was appointed in 2017 by our town board. I was elected in 2018 and successfully re-elected in 2022. The experience that I bring to this office constitutes 31 years practicing law. The majority of my legal practice has been dedicated to public service. I successfully ran a solo practice here in this area for 23 years, not only representing numerous clients in different courts. I appeared in about every town justice court in this county, representing criminal defendants, representing clients in civil matters, representing clients who have had vehicle and traffic issues. I've also been a member of the panel to represent children in the Ulster County Family Court. I have represented children who are the victims of neglect and abuse. I have represented children who are unfortunately in the middle of horrible custody battles between two warring parents. I have represented parents on the 18B panel who cannot afford counsel and thus qualify for an assigned attorney. I'm a graduate of Hamilton College. I'm a graduate of Brooklyn Law School. And I humbly and respectfully ask for your support to re-elect me on the 23rd of June. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Lesko, the first question goes to you. Why are you seeking this office, and what inspired you?
I'm seeking this office because I have a passion for public service. I feel that the qualities that I bring to the table, the experience that I've had as an attorney, and also my experience as a judge since 2017, I want to continue the work that I'm doing here. I was raised by parents with the values of trying to make the community you're in a better place than you found it. I've worked to do that. I have immersed myself in this community, not only as an attorney, but as a citizen. I have volunteered at Volunteers Day, cleaning up garbage and serving food. I have cleaned up roadsides on Earth Day, along with other people. I've been involved in our local American Legion to help veterans. We also had a cleanup crew and a member of the Sons of the American Legion with a stretch on Route 212 to clean up garbage on the roadside. I have been involved in the Big Brother, Big Sister program in this area. So I'm not just an attorney, I'm a member of this community who contributes to this community. I want to continue to do that as the Woodstock Town Court judge. I bring a unique perspective, not only as a judge, sitting since 2017, but representing people who have had the impact of a court decision upon them. I've represented human beings who are sentenced to jail. I have represented abused people in relationships and seen the impact that an order of protection can have on their lives. So I bring that perspective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Harris.
I've been living in this town for about 40 years. I was on the ZBA, as I mentioned, for 15 years. And I just get that satisfying feeling of doing things for the town. I don't have the legal background that Mr. Lesko has, but my experience comes from serving this community directly, listening to residents and working with people from every walk of life. The town courts were designed so fair-minded community members, not just lawyers, would serve. I am running to bring that grounded, people-centered perspective back to the bench. My time with the ZBA, maybe 500 to 600 people came before us, and they had to produce evidence, and that's about it. I mean, I could go on talking, but I'm all right.
So you feel you've completed your...
Yeah, that's sufficient.
Okay. Mr. Harris, that you're up for the second
Good.
question?
No, it's
I'm
easy.
sorry. Yes,
Yeah,
you're up
that's
for the
easy.
second question.
Right.
Here we go. What specific background or relevant experience would you bring to the position? And are there any special certifications or credentials we should know about?
Well, 20 years in the New York City Police Department, going to thousands or hundreds of testimonies to various crimes, the people that are arrested. The judicial, the ZBA is a quasi-judicial board where certain processes have to be made. Witnesses come in, testimony is made. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Lesko.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What specific background or relevant experience would you bring to the position? Are there any special certifications or credentials we should know about?
So, I'm sorry if I'm being redundant, but I really feel that my judicial experience, along with my experience as an attorney, is important here. People have to understand that the immense responsibility you have as a town court judge. I have the power to sentence someone to jail for 364 days. I've seen the impact that can have on a human being because I've represented those human beings. That gives me special insight of how my decisions might affect one of our citizens. I am continually taking legal education classes, continuing legal education requirements, as well as judicial legal education requirements. The law changes frequently. In just the last 4 or 5 years, we've had raise the age legislation, which impacts youth in our community. We've had bail reform, which has been massive. We've had the Tenant Protection Act in 2019, which made vast changes to landlord-tenant law for summary proceedings. I think rolling with those changes, learning how they affect the law and the people that come before me gives me experience that is particularly on point to handle the many things that you will face as a town court judge. As far as my experience presently, I have just recently had the honor to be employed. I closed down my 23-year solo practice, and am now was asked to become part of the team of the Honorable Sarah Rakoff in Family Court. I am now her principal court attorney since January of this year. Thank you.
What was the question?
The question was, what specific background or relevant experience would you bring to the position? Oh, you had that already, I'm sorry, okay. Okay, oh, so we're on to a new question?
Yes.
Yes, ah, perfect, okay. Wake up, Christine, here we go. Okay, this is for you, Mr. Lesko, okay? How do you maintain neutrality when dealing with complex issues, especially those you may have a strong personal opinion about?
That's a great question. The basis of presiding over cases as a judge is impartiality. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting some weird feedback.
There's very loud feedback.
I'm trying to.
Okay. The basis of being a judge is being impartial and fair, no matter who is before you, regardless of what walk of life they come from, their financial status, their race, their color, whether they're male or female. So maintaining impartiality, to me, is something that I've had to do, especially since 2017. And there's an answer for when you can't maintain impartiality. Judges have to know when to recuse, okay? And it's not just a basis for recusal because you have an independent relationship with a litigant, or maybe you are facing a situation where a litigant is somehow familiar to you because you are in a small community. When you have those circumstances, you have to put your pride aside, even though I think I can be fair and impartial no matter what. But what's just as important as being able to be fair and impartial is the appearance of impropriety. If I am ruling on a case where, given my relationship with a litigant or a situation, someone could raise a question and say, hey, I think Judge Lesko ruled that way because he's buddies with one of the lawyers. That is an appearance of impropriety. On that basis, you recuse as well, because we have another very capable judge in Judge Houston who can take that case when I have a conflict and administer justice fairly and impartially.
Thank you. Mr. Harris.
Okay, I got it, thank you. People come into town court at special moments. I've seen that look hundreds of times when people came before the ZBA. For instance, like with an order to remedy, which is a ticket from the building inspector. And based upon my demeanor at the time, I had a very calming effect on these people. Everyone and everything has to be accounted for. Cases can pile up, delays frustrate everyone, defendants, victims. Limiting them is the key. A local judge has to be neutral, steady, consistent. I spent decades in roles where fairness wasn't optional. I would bring that same approach to the bench. In short, the way I address the court's challenges is by being prepared, being respectful, being consistent. Every case, every person, every time.
Okay, thank you. We're going to begin with Mr. Harris on this question. New York allows town justices to be lay judges, in other words, non-lawyers. Do you believe it is important for a town justice to be a lawyer? Why or why not?
Why or why not do I believe?
New York State allows...
Right, 60, yeah, 60,
Right,
yes.
so I'm asking the question of, do you think that a town justice should be a lawyer? If yes, why? If no, why not?
I don't think it can, I think it can go either way. I know that 60% of the justices in New York State are non-lawyers. And as a non-lawyer, I think I have a closer feeling to what's going on in town than a justice does. I offer something different than the judge does.
And could you say what that is? What do you offer differently?
Well, I think I'm more grounded. I mean, having spent like those 15 years with the ZBA, I've come to know people, you know, like up close and really personal. And I've seen the fear in their faces when they approach the, you know, the bench, the chair, whatever you want to call it. And you had to calm them down, and knowing that I wasn't a judge and just was one of them, it made them feel rested and relaxed, and that's what I think.
Okay, thank you. Can you answer that question?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's helpful for people to understand why we have that rule. Because there's no other judicial post where you can be a layperson. This rule came into existence literally a century ago, because in rural areas with far less dense populations, there were counties that didn't have a single attorney who lived there. And so, you know, people thought, look, we can't get an attorney from a neighboring county who has to drive 60 miles to preside over our town court. We need to open it up to members of our community who we trust, who we look up to, who we have faith that could administer justice fairly and impartially and follow the law. So they made an exception. Now, I have worked with many lay judges. I work with lay judges who do a fine job, okay? Most of them have been in the business for a long time, because I will say that the law and the requirements have become much more demanding, much more complex in recent years. Things have changed drastically. So I do think, personally, I think being someone who knows procedures, being someone who is well-versed in the law and the procedure, it's second nature to me because of my practice, because of my experience. And when you don't have that experience, you risk bad things happening. When you don't follow the law properly and you are not well-versed, that's when people who are guilty walk away. And that's when you risk an innocent person going to jail. And that is a travesty.
Okay, thank you. This is the last question, and it'll begin with Mr. Lesko. Last question before the closing statement. You've actually already touched on this, Mr. Lesko, but I'm going to ask you more specifically, more specific. In general, what constitutes a conflict of interest that would require a judge to recuse?
Okay, there's some very easy examples. I had a case before me, and I can speak generally, but one of the litigants was the father of a young girl that I represented in family court as a minor. And his daughter, I represented her for 12 years. There was intense family court litigation. She was a person that I knew, and because I represented her for so many years, I became familiar with her father. We did not have a personal relationship. We did not go out to dinner together. But most importantly, when you have a situation like that, you need to put that on the record, not only for the litigants to hear, but also for the entire court to hear, because that's what instills confidence in the justice system. When you have justices who lay it out there and are transparent. And I put on the record my involvement with this particular gentleman, and I said to the litigants, look, I can be fair and impartial, but it's only fair for you to know, the person who was opposing him, that I know Mr. So-and-so in this way. And if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel that, even though I do feel that I can be fair and impartial, you have a right to that, and on that basis, I recused. Does that answer more specifically what specific type of, but there are also other relationships, family members, people that I have had business relationships with, people who are in my close circle of friends. Those are very obvious conflicts, but my philosophy, any relationship that I have with a person who is before me, I put that on the record because I want to be as transparent as possible so that the litigants can make a decision that they're comfortable with.
So putting it on the record doesn't necessarily mean that you would recuse yourself. It would be that you would give them to ask you to recuse yourself.
Yes, but even if there are situations where the person has been like, oh no, this is great, I know this man, and I've recused, even though they haven't asked me to, because I think it may be, there's that appearance, the possible appearance of impropriety.
So appearance also. Okay, thank you. Mr. Harris?
Yes. First of all, I think the type of crime and the amount of crimes that appear in this court, you do not need that much information about. There's a course that you're supposed to take prior to becoming a judge, once you're elected, where they teach you certain features. I myself have been in courts hundreds and hundreds of times. I know the process that the lawyers go through, that the judges go through. I was in family court, state court, federal court, family court. Going back to as far as recusal goes, when I was the chair of the ZBA, if somebody came over to me and said, do I have to be recused, was a sign of them to be recused, because they had doubt in their own minds as to whether or not they would be fair and impartial. That's that. That's it.
So I just want to clarify. So you're saying that if, the rule is if you have to ask yourself, should I recuse myself, then you should recuse yourself, just having the question.
Yeah, that's the way I process
That's the way you would do it.
recusals, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that was the last question. It's now time for the final statement. And it's going to begin with Mr. Lesko. Okay, you have 2 minutes for your concluding statement.
Thank you. To conclude, I want to make it clear that I do disagree respectfully with Mr. Harris. I do think that misdemeanor offenses can be very complicated. That's why we have district attorneys prosecuting those cases and defense attorneys defending them, because they're complex, there are many elements to prove the crime, and there are many defenses that are had that can make the case go either way. I don't think they're simple. And I know this, not because I've seen it on TV, but because I've lived it and I've presided over it. I bring to the table a certain set of qualifications and experience that no one running for this position has. I am hands down the best candidate for this job. I humbly ask for the honor of continuing to serve this community as one of its town judges. I want to carry on what I've carried on thus far since 2017, and I want to do it fairly, honestly, impartially, giving litigants and anybody who appears in this courtroom, treating them with respect and dignity and fairness. I have a proven record, I have experience, and I don't think it's even a question. If we're talking about what is best for this community, who will most be able to protect the rights of citizens and everyone who appears in this court, whether it's the stance of a victim, whether you're coming in as a defendant, or whether you're coming in as an attorney. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Mr. Harris, your concluding statement.
Yes. I want to start with well, I'll be concluding. Anyways, you have district attorneys and defendants, defense attorneys, and they're the ones that handle the bulk of this thing. I mean, reading laws and understanding laws, it just takes a sense of right and wrong, and that's what I come here with. But let me, my ending statement. In 1998, I was here 10, 12 years. I was on the ZBA for 2 years. Tracy Kellogg was the town supervisor. Sid Slayton was the town justice. He retired. It was at that point that I found out you didn't have to be a lawyer to become a town justice. So I applied for the position of town justice. And there were 17 others applied. It came down to 4 people, me and Richard Husted. Richard was an iron worker. He's been the town judge since 1998. And the town hired him, and deservedly so, because he was down in the trenches with the rest of us, and he knew what the town's soul was like. Now, let's go forward 20-something years, and here we are now. I have 40 years in this town. I had 15 years on the Zoning Board of Appeals. And it's up to you people, it's up to you people, what am I doing? It's up to you people to put me in a position that I would like to be in to benefit the town the way I did with regard to the zoning law. You have your cell tower, 30 seconds? Okay, you have your cell tower, you have the things that the town needed, and it was a matter of right and wrong. It was a matter of reading the law, reading the zoning regulations, and thank you.
Okay, thank you.